Hello, coaches, and thank you for tuning in to today's NSCAA Hangout. I'm Monique Bowman, Communications Manager for the NSCAA, as well as today's moderator. So earlier this year, U.S. Soccer announced several changes to their player development, which included changes to small-sided games, as well as changes to calendar year groupings. So with us today, we have Ian Barker, NSCAA Director of Coaching Education, and Dave Newbery, NSCAA eLearning Coordinator. And they're here to discuss implementing those new mandates, as well as how the NSCAA is here to help you. As we're discussing today, if you have questions, you can send them in to us via email. That's marketing@nscaa.com, or you can tweet them using hashtag NSCAA Live. So to set the stage for today's discussion, Ian, would you give us a brief recap of U.S. Soccer's small-sided games initiatives and what led to that decision?
Sure. Well, I would assume most of the audience are very aware of the debate about small-sided games, appropriate age grouping, rule modifications in player development. I don't think that should be something new to most of the audience. However, it's been typically dealt with on a club basis, most commonly on a state basis or possibly a league basis. And what US Soccer has done has taken essentially a national leadership position on it that will then impact US Youth Soccer, US Club, AYSO, SAY, and other like youth organizations. So I think what is really causing the most interest and the most debate is that this is actually the first time it's really been addressed on a national basis by our parent organization, and that is US Soccer.
And Dave, I want to get you in on this as well before I ask Ian the same question. What were your initial thoughts when the mandate was handed down, or announced rather, and then what have you heard from your colleagues?
Well, thanks for having me, Monique. Certainly there's been a lot of rhetoric about the new mandates, and from my experience, certainly it has been well received in general. The small-sided game formats 4v4, 7v7 and 9v9 are certainly in most experiences formats that we're familiar with. We may have played 6v6 as opposed to 7v7, we may have played 5v5 as opposed to 4v4, but most organizations are participating with players 12 and under in small-sided game formats. So that has been certainly well received, and I think one of the biggest advantages of the mandates will be consistency across the nation. So from one tournament to the next and one league offering to the next, we'll be playing in very similar formats, whether you're traveling in-state or out-of-state.
And Ian, your thoughts on why this mandate was announced, and what are some thoughts you've had or thoughts you've heard from other colleagues?
Well, overall, there's no doubt that an initiative, which I think is by far and away the best way to consider this rather than a mandate, the initiative is completely positive in its intention, and I think it's positive in its ultimate execution. The execution is done well for sure. There are many places where small-sided games were not only fully in place, they were actually less numbers, and there had been an education program, and there had been some financial support for the implementation or the purchasing of goals. So I can speak from experience in the state of Minnesota. It took us about 2 years when we started the initiative around 1999-2000. It took us about 2 years to fully implement 4 versus 4, 6 versus 6, 8 versus 8 in the case of Minnesota. But US Youth Soccer has been taking a lead in this area on a state-by-state basis without any kind of national mandate for the better part of 20 years. What is new now is that US Soccer has really come in with a 55 statewide type approach. Again, on the notion that it's an initiative more so than a mandate, this idea of consistency, I think, is really positive. What concerns me is that some people have started to discuss about, well, what is interesting, some people have started to discuss, well, that's one more kid than I had on the field before.